Welcome to the kill zone.
I feel the silence chasing me. Shadows follow me everywhere I go. Danger's near, I can feel it.
Say my name, feel that flame. Welcome to the kill zone. Kill zone. Say my name, feel that flame. Welcome to the kill zone.
There's a silence screaming in the dark. Footsteps echo when I fall apart. Eyes behind me, I can feel the weight.
Say my name, feel that flame.
Welcome to the kill zone. Danger's near, I can feel it.
Say my name, feel that flame. Welcome to the kill zone. Kill zone. Say my name, feel that flame. Welcome to the kill zone. Say my name, feel that flame. Welcome to the kill zone. Welcome to the kill zone. Kill zone. Kill zone.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Wednesday night. Tonight, we give you the coverage of the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs. Season 12, chase race number 1 last week gave us our closest finish by 7/1000ths. It was Ryan Kelly starting off the chase with a win at New Hampshire. Tonight, we head to a lost track, Auto Club, no longer existing in the real world, but on the virtual side, gives some of the best finishes you could ask for as well. A massive 2-mile course. You're going to be seeing people going 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 wide at times. And we're excited to give you all the coverage again here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Race 2 of the chase is about to be underway. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Richard Wolsifer. We want to apologize on the fact that we're a little bit late and delayed. Currently, we're in the middle of qualifying. 3 minutes left of qualifying so far. But Richard, we're excited for the racing action. It should be a good one here tonight.
Yeah, Sam, it is a really exciting time to come to Auto Club Speedway. Sad to see this racetrack disappear in the real world. But at least we have it here on iRacing. And again, this produces some really, really great racing. We've seen a lot of really good racing here in Auto Club before, and now we get to watch the Legacy Gen 4 car and the WSSR drivers take to the wide, somewhat sloped banks of Auto Club here in California. We'll have to see what these guys can do and how they can manage the temperature, as it's going to fluctuate throughout the day as well, starting off pretty hot normally.
Auto Club, a track that has been used quite a lot here in the WSSR Cup Series. Again, this is going to be a track that they've seen a lot of really close finishes, but there's also been a fluctuation. Either we get a really low caution count race, or we're getting somewhere around 7 to 8 cautions per race. We'll see if tonight, will they clean it up? Will it be messy? But we know one thing, and that's Jake Nichols still proving that he's one of the fastest drivers in the series, currently with the fastest time of a 40.801. Top of the board over Larry Yingling. There's a few other drivers that are hoping to maybe cross the line, get a faster lap than the 73, and some of those drivers that are hoping to break the barrier. Going to be John Forbes Jr. out on his second lap currently. Brian McCann still going to be attempting for a quick lap. And as well, going to be Douglas Newbigin, Jarrett Talmadge, and Ryan Kelly as Brian McCann's going to fall up just a mere shy 0.05 of a second off. A very close attempt by the 8 machine. But hopefully we'll see if someone can topple the crown of Jake Nichols, who's going for another pole this season, where he's already found himself collecting 6 poles. Can he get number 7? That's going to be the true question here, Richard, with a minute left in qualifying.
Yeah, right now it's looking pretty good that Jake Nichols will be able to maintain the pole. Still got some fast drivers. Jarrett Talmadge going to reset, but he could still potentially pull this off still as he gets back out on track. Must have had a mishap on his qualifying lap. So Nolan Voigt, his laps, he's going to try again, get this car up to pace, but he has only got 45 seconds to do so. I do not believe Jarrett Talmadge, losing my names here, will be able to complete a lap. So unfortunate for him, he's going to have to start back, and it looks like the 16th position more than likely. But Jake Nichols is probably going to squeak away with his 7th pole on the season.
7 poles so far for the driver who also has already 6 wins this season. Shockingly for Jake Nichols, he did not find himself getting the win last week at New Hampshire. I think there was a lot of expecting to see happenings, but the late caution that gave chance for a lot of other drivers to steal the win last week at New Hampshire now makes the points battle a little bit closer to see as qualifying's coming to a conclusion. We're about to take a look at the point standings as Jake Nichols will take his 7th pole of the season. And what a time to grab to here. Second race of the chase. We got 6 races in the chase. But as we're heading into our warm-ups, which will give 5 minutes to the drivers, a little bit of extra time to practice if needed, as well as gives us time to have a closer look of how the season's been so far. Let's head on over and take a look at the point standings entering tonight, as it was a pretty easy breakdown. Jake Nichols had a 1-point lead over second place, and it was a 1-point deduction all the way through our top 16 that made it into the chase. Currently, it's a 2-point advantage for Jake Nichols over Jarrett Talmadge, 2 points also over Ryan Kelly and John Forbes. I think the big positive that Nichols can take away from last week is the fact that he's still the points leader, but 2 points, it's a small margin coming here to Auto Club, where honestly, a lot of things could change up. If you get the pole, it does not mean you're winning this race.
Yeah, it's really interesting with Auto Club is draft is a huge factor here on this track, so you can easily get caught up in a wreck. If you get caught further back in the field. So, I mean, he's got to be able to stay up front, but if anything shows, he's not Superman, because, I mean, he had drivers that have been passing him, like, legit over the past couple of weeks, but have Brian McCann that has challenged Jake Nichols and made a legit pass under green flag laps. We've had Vincent Sora, who pulled a pit strategy at Mexico City and was able to beat him there. And then we also had Douglas Newbigin, who was showing some massive speed early in the race last week as well. So it's showing that he can be passed, but the difference here, everyone's going to be in a huge group and passing opportunities are going to be all over the place.
There certainly will be, but let's take a closer look at how the schedule's been so far, as tonight's race, second race of the chase, it's going to be the 14th race of the whole entire schedule, as last week Brian McCann tried his best to find his way into victory lane, but he'll only take the pole. It was Ryan Kelly that took the victory over Jarrett Talmadge last week. But we look at further in the in the schedule, we've got Auto Club tonight, Texas, then Charlotte, North Wilkesboro, and then Homestead to finish out the regular season. I mean, to finish out the season as a whole. Certainly, it's been an exciting season overall, but I kind of want to take a look at the regular season. Michigan, an interesting race overall. Jake Nichols took the victory. Brian McCann got the pole, but that was back in the current Gen 4 car. We're now on the Legacy on the sister track of Michigan. I think that's going to be the factor that really changes things here tonight.
It'll definitely change a lot of things. I mean, the aero is going to be a lot different just because of how iRacing updates the cars and everything. They really haven't touched this Legacy Gen 4, and it handles extremely, identical to what they'd expect the Gen 4 to handle like back in 2003. So a lot of these drivers have really praised this car change, and I think we're going to see a different kind of style of racing at Auto Club tonight than we did at Michigan. And it's crazy because both tracks are very similar, but they handle completely different also. So it's going to be a really interesting race to watch all night.
And that is what the current schedule looks like. Again, Texas next week, Auto Club here tonight, and as drivers are finishing up warm-ups, they got less than 2 minutes before we get to the featured race. It'll be 120 laps, no stage break, no fast repair, 4 extra sets of tires in pit road. Fuel windows around 35 to 36 laps. We'll see if they change that at all throughout this race, utilizing the draft. But we've got our pick'ems. Who are drivers that we feel like are those to watch out for? And interestingly enough, when we go through all of our picks, we all chose the same driver, and Richard, I feel like you might have the main reason why we both chose Gavin Rogers as our driver to watch out.
Yeah, Gavin Rogers, we got to shout out to Gavin. It is his 21st birthday today. So happy birthday to Gavin Rogers. He's going to be the entire Freaky Fast Broadcasting Group's pick for today. And I can tell you now, talking to him prior to the race, he is really looking forward to this race because this is the best this car has felt under his control in a very long time. So he's got high hopes for tonight at Auto Club.
Gavin Rogers, last season's champion, still looking for his first top 5 of the season. And could it be on his birthday? He's already won here in the past. He won back in season 10. But tonight could be another great run for the One Machine. As our warm-up is slowly coming to an end, we do want to say thank you to the major sponsors that have tagged on with WSSR Cup Series for this season. First and foremost, we want to say thank you to the title sponsor for season 12, being Elwood Designs. Elwood Designs has been a part of the iRacing community since 2012. They've been helping with iRacing drivers find their base schemes for customizing their liveries to their own specialties, making throwback schemes, and many more. You can find your own baseline schemes at simrapmarket.com by going and typing in simrapmarket.com/designer/Alan Elwood, or you can just check out their websites and plenty of other social medias. On Facebook, it's Elwood Designs, and on X at Elwood Designs. Thank you so much for being a part of the WSSR community for season 12, Elwood Designs. As warm-up is done, qualifying's over, same for practice. All that's left is the racing action here tonight for 120 laps at Auto Club. And we got to start things off with your Lucky Duck Motorsports starting grid. As Lucky Duck Motorsports has been a part of the WSSR community for quite a while the last few seasons. They help drivers with rewards of cash money as well as helping with charities. You're going to see plenty of the different charities of Tiltify that Lucky Duck works with from all the different racers that are partnered up with Lucky Duck Motorsports. You could go check out more from Lucky Duck Motorsports on X at We Are Lucky Ducks or on Instagram, Lucky Duck Motorsports. Taking the top spot for the 7th time this season, Jake Nichols in a very comfortable position. But to his outside, the driver that's been chasing him since the beginning of this season, it's Brian McCann in the 8 Machine in second. The 3-time champ of the WSSR Cup Series going to start in third of Larry Yingling with his teammate of the Cody Glencock's music racing team of Ryan Kelly in 4th, Thomas Green in 5th. All 3 of our picks. Starting in 6th is number 1 of Gavin Rogers. Vincent Sora, another threat to watch out for. He's gotten into victory lane here multiple times at Auto Club. Starting in 7th. 8th is the 7 of John Forbes, who won here last season. We'll see if he can find the magic. Another driver who's hoping to find a little bit of old luck It's the 57 of Chuck Sweeting, who won here all the way back in Season 1. Can the 57 get it done here in Season 12? Let's find out with Chris Ditz finishing out your top 10.
Starting back in the 11th position is the Hello Kitty, number 13 of Cedric Hunter, still rocking that pink car, well known throughout the entire league. Then starting outside him is Jan Van Leer, the number 10, a phenomenal finish for him last week at New Hampshire as well. Ollie Fonseca starting back in the 13th with Ben Keeney to his outside in 14th. 15th is Douglas Newbigging in the number 77 machine and the number 27 of Jarrett Talmadge to his outside. And then rounding out the ninth and final row will be Brian Noel starting in 17th and Zachary Hall starting back in the 18th position.
Which we talked to Zach before this race. This was an intentional call by the 32. We'll see if that decision is starting in the back. Learning this vehicle is going to help on the problem. This strategy, I feel like, is a good one when there is a stage break. You know there's an absolute caution that will be thrown. That is not an absolute here tonight. 18 drivers, a little bit of a smaller field than we've had in the past at Auto Club, which, based off the numbers, means we should have a smaller caution count. If anything, there's a chance we could go caution-free, like we have had a couple of times this season. But Richard, 120 laps is going to be a long one here this evening. What do you think are going to be some of the major factors to watch out for this evening?
Well, with the field more than likely going to be bunched up throughout the entire race, for the most part, it's going to be able to save your tires. I always talk about tires, but saving your tires better than everybody behind you or even in front of you can really catapult you forward little by little. And we could potentially see Zach Hall do that. We'll see how well he can save them. But also getting on and off pit road as smooth as possible. With no stage break, you got to pit under green, and that can easily make or break your race as well.
Tonight going to be marked as the 8th time running an Auto Club in the 12 seasons for the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs. Could tonight be another special one? I talked about how if you have the pole, it doesn't mean you're gonna win, because it has never happened in the WSSR Cup Series. Could race number 8 be the changing factor? Let's find out. Jake Nichols, Brian McCann, your front row as they enter the restart zone. Race number 2 of the chase is underway as the field gets up to running speed. Nichols looks strong on the outside, going to be drag racing down into turn number 1 is Brian McCann. That's the 73 with the nose ahead down into turn number 1.
So number 1, 73 will have his nose ahead, but Brian McCann has that outside lane. He's going to have the momentum coming off the turn, and it does look like he will be able to complete the pass on the number 73, but Ryan Kelly's going to follow him right through as well and challenge Jake Nichols on the outside as they dive into turn 3.
Getting a little bit boxed in is Jake Nichols. He's got 3 drivers from the same team. That's Brian McCann, that's Ryan Kelly, and Larry Yingling from the Cody Cox's Music Racing team. They have been incredible this season as a team, always moving together as a whole. And right now, trying to be the drivers in control with McCann, Kelly, 1-2. Now, how do they hold back the field? And the driver we picked here today, the birthday boy, the number 1, Gavin Rogers, ripping the top and trying to move into 3rd.
Gavin Rogers doing the work and following the other 2 that has made the pass around Nichols. He's going to make the outside work and get around the 73 machine as well, putting him up into 3rd position as they go into turn 3. The downside, I mean, you might be using up a little bit more of your tires on the south side. Jake Nichols has had the opportunities to get to that outside lane. He hasn't made that move yet, so he's definitely trying to save tires for late runs. We've seen him do a lot better later parts of these runs than a lot of these other drivers, so this could be part of his strategy.
Fastest lap of the day here on lap number 2 being completed, and it's the 1 of Gavin Rogers all the way up to the wall, though. You can see the pink machine. That's Thomas Green in the 31, are 1 of 2 pink machines we have out there on track for them. But the baseline 31 now forcing his Lucky Duck Motorsports teammate to the outside as Thomas Green ducks low through 3 and 4. That's an interesting take to see. Wasn't expecting the 31 to force Nichols to now have to run that outer groove.
Yeah, interesting move from Thomas Green, but Jake Nichols still falling back a little bit. Thomas Green holding steady side by side with him as they get ready to go into turn 1. He's going to run a little bit harder into the turn. He's going to clear Jake Nichols. Nichols might have just let him have the position instead of fighting him. He's trying to move himself back down to the inside, but Thomas Green up to the 4th position now.
everyone in line, majoritively in up front. First driver going to be fortunate 2 wide is the one we're riding with. That's Vincent Sora. Sora, winner of this race all the way back in season 4. That race only had 3 cautions. They were running the first time for the WSSR Cup Series, the Gen 7 car. And we'll see if tonight Vincent Sora can maybe get up front as he's driving that. He needs a really good day here tonight. Did not have the strongest run last week at New Hampshire. Went from being a title contender to falling all the way back, tied with 8th in points entering tonight. Back 14 points to Jake Nichols, Jared Tillman, and Ryan Kelly. So the 15, he needs to get up front, lead, dominate this race, and I hope that some of his competitors have an off day here today at Auto Club to kind of reset those points heading into Texas next week.
Yeah, a lot of the drivers that had a rough week last week. I mean, even Thomas Green, he dropped 6 positions last week. He's down in the 14th, 22 points behind, and he's looking for a good day, and that's why he's making a charge up front. He's trying to get these laps led. There's going to be extra points if he can lead the most. So all these drivers are trying to maximize the amount of points that they can potentially get in this race. So, I mean, that's why we're seeing, drivers like Thomas Green try to rocket their way up to the front.
Season 10 champion John Forbes in the number 7 currently runs in 10th place, trying to find a way to get by Chris Stitz as well as Chuck Sweeting as the 7 entering tonight, 4th in points, and he's trying to find himself his 13th top 10 of the season. He is 1 stat line behind Jake Nichols. There's a lot of guys with 12 top 10s this season, but the one thing for John Forbes, 7 top 5s, 2 wins so far, and he's hoping a win here tonight can change everything. He won this race last season, and he dominated, leading 56 out of 120 laps last season in the Gen 7 car. I know we've changed over to this legacy Gen 4 ARCA machine. Currently the 7 really hasn't been comfortable this season, even with those stats I just threw out. When you watch John Forbes, those wins were not the most dominant wins, kind of snuck in there late. Here this season, it's been trying to figure out the car all throughout the race until those final 20 laps where Forbes really steps up.
Yeah, Forbes definitely is just taking his time throughout these races, just tries to learn the car, figure out the nuances that he might not have figured out during his week of practice. But, I mean, it's a different feel when you're practicing all by yourself for just a couple of cars versus getting in the field and having like 5 or 6 cars around you. So it takes a bit to learn, try to figure out what the car is doing, but we got a little bit of a gaggle right here with Chuck Sweeting, Vincent Sora, Larry Yingling as well, and Chris Stitz. They are all side by side, but they straighten it back out, and we got a challenge for the lead as Thomas Green makes the move on the number 8 machine, and he will clear him as they get ready to go to 4, but no, the number 8, Brian McCann, on the outside again.
Can's trying to hold steady, a little bit loose for the 31, but even with the shuffle, keeps a good momentum, and they'll drag race down into turn number 1. But that's a lap led for the 31 and Thomas Green. Good lap to be led by that 31, and looking at that last lap, an impressive time, 42 flat for Thomas Green. That's faster than the majority of the field. He has picked it up into a high gear, up 4 positions from where he started here tonight. That is the biggest mover so far in the first 9 laps of this race. That's a good starting position for Thomas Green, who, again, a driver who has shown at the shorter tracks not as dominant, but these bigger tracks really putting his foot down and to prove something here tonight.
Yeah, he definitely moved his way up all the way to the front really quick. I mean, we're just now 10 laps into it. He's moved up to the lead from starting back in 5th. And, I mean, he's put down the fastest lap of the race also of a 41.355, but that lap right there, 42.148, you can see that the tire fall off after 10 laps is pretty heavy. That's almost a 7/10 drop off in time.
Yeah, I mean, for some drivers, it's already been a full second fall off. For themselves, others, it's about a half a second, so trying to conserve their tires. And one of those drivers is in this shot. 73 of Jake Nichols, grabbing pole. He is down 4 positions from where he started. Another driver who's really gave up a lot of positions and time. That's Larry Yingling. He's fallen all the way back to 9th place. He's that white machine back there. Right from John Forbes, trying to just stay in at least a stable spot. I understand saving your tires, but giving up over 6 positions is Larry Yingling right now. Better hope that this fall off is a great one here in the next few laps. Again, the fuel window is given 35 to 36 laps. The way that we're seeing these tires fall off, I mean, maybe Lear Yingling's just waiting for another 5 to 6 more laps, then he'll start surging forward.
Yeah, he could just be heavy saving those tires and looking for the longer game. But I mean, that's always the tough decision as a driver, is learning to save tires. And if you're saving too much or if you're not saving enough, you're always questioning yourself sometimes in that car, unless you've done thousands of laps and know exactly what those tires are going to do. But I mean, you really never know what those tires are like exactly till you get to the pits and see what the percentage in the wear is. But yeah, he's given up a lot of time. He's got to hope that he can get those passes done again when these tires have worn out.
Talk about Vincent Sora being tied in 8th in points. He's tied with Chris Stitz and Ali Fonseca, who we hop on board with in 12th position. Ali entering tonight, still no win. 1 top 5, 4 top 10s. And a solid performance last week at New Hampshire. I mean, you put on probably one of the best defensive runs you could ask for early on in that race. Really showed a length of remarkable standard tracks. All he's willing to fight even 40 laps into a race to hold position. Right now here at Auto Club, trying to rip the outside wall to find a way to get moving forward is the 24. Only up 1 spot from where he started, and really not as much momentum and movement that maybe we would hope for. Zach Hall, who decided to start all the way back in 18th position last year tonight, only up 2 spots, but talk to us about just wanting to have fun here tonight. And I think that's kind of a goal for a lot of drivers at this point. It's just find your joy in racing when it's kind of been a tough season for a lot of drivers.
Yeah, it has been a tough season. A lot of drivers, we're expecting to do a lot better than they have been. So, I mean, just going out there, having a good time, there's nothing wrong with doing that. Even when you're fighting for a championship, sometimes it's nice to just go out there, enjoy what you've been doing every week on a Wednesday night. And Zach, I mean, when you start last, there's nowhere else really for you to go but up. So getting positions is all he's going to do all night. But he's doing a good job so far. We're sitting behind Brian Noel, trying to work his way forward. But Vincent Sora, a huge aggressive move to the inside there of Chris Stitz. I don't think he's going to have the momentum to complete the pass. But Stitz through the middle. They're going to be 3 wide. He's making the pass on the number 3 of Ryan Kelly.
And Stitz now going to be moving forward. A great move, but scary moment between the 17 and the 3. The teammates hoping not to just take each other out. Luckily survive, and going to be seeing now another dive bomb move by the 15 of Vincent Sora, but you can see the entry works perfectly, but the center off is where the 17 on the outside groove, able to really carry that momentum, and with no one to his outside, Stitz holds strong, and he tries to run down our top 4. We're about to get into a heated battle because the 1 of Gavin Rogers, as well as the 73 of Jake Nichols, they're about to get ready to pounce on our top 2 of Thomas Green and Brian McCann.
Yeah, Brian McCann, Thomas Green, they're running around the 42.8 second marks, and Gavin Rogers and Jake Nichols are running around the 42.7, and I just lied, 42.9s and 42.8s, but still, they're running about a tenth faster than the front 2 drivers, but Jake Nichols is making the move on Gavin Rogers. Gavin looks like he might try and concede it for the time being, but being on that outside, he might have the momentum to stay side by side. He will not. But that's the thing, when we're seeing with Vincent Sora, the major passes he's trying to do on the inside, you've got to set that up a long time in advance. You got to use the draft, get that run down the straightaway, and you kind of have to throw the car down there. You got to attack the turns because you need to be able to clear them going out of the turn. Otherwise, that person outside is just going to have the momentum and just going to be able to drag race you straight down the straightaways.
As diving down almost to the apron is the 73. Coming back up the track, and Nichols looking poised. He saved the tires, backed off, let everyone else run their own race, and now being rewarded is the 73 up to 2nd position now after making the pass on Rogers and now on Thomas Green. But it's Brian McCann currently up front, trying to find a way to scamper away. He's got a half a second gap between himself and the 73 of Jake Nichols, and we already know, we've seen this multiple times this season. Jake Nichols, he either tries to take the lead immediately, but if he backs off and he's being patient early on in the race, that is the most dangerous when Nichols is, because he's learning a lot about what the competition looks like while he's trying to save his tires and figure out the best way to just attack in the later half of the race.
Yeah, sometimes I think some of these drivers just need to do exactly what Jake Nichols does. I mean, I know some drivers know they can't save as much as he can, so they'll just try to get out front, get as far ahead as they possibly can, and start saving a little bit here and there to try and maintain that lead from Jake. But he is just so good at planning that long run pace for himself, saving those tires and having the better speed 10, 15, 20 laps into a run. And that's what he's showing right now, is he has closed that gap to almost 1/10 of a second as he's trying to make a move on the number 8 to take the lead back.
I'm looking at the lap times. Nichols' last lap is ridiculous compared to the rest of the field. The next closest guy on pace was 3/10 slower than Nichols. He is on a different pace right now on rails, but you can see from Brian McCann, he is getting so yawed out and putting all the pressure on those rear tires off the exit of the corner, just knowing the lead. So important. You want to hold on and keep it as long as you can, because that fresh air is so nice to have. You can run whatever groove you want. And Nichols, I think that last lap kind of proved, okay, I've got speed. Let's see if I can get it now after cooling them off for at least a lap.
Yep, he's going to have to cool off those tires a little bit. I mean, he's definitely been really fast. Jake Nichols just showing why he is the class of his own in this field with the amount he's won and all the poles he's had this season. I mean, it's no doubt that he was able to keep the points lead after last week, but they're side by side right now. He's trying to make the move for the lead, but Brian McCann is able to have that momentum down those backstretch. It's going to stay in front of him for now, but how long can Brian withstand these attacks from the 73?
Withstand is going to be the true question. Is it just a few laps? Is it 4 or 10 plus until pit stops? Got a feeling it's gonna waver in the next couple. Nichols should take this lead back, staying outside, trying to pinch and keep the 8 as high as he can before diving low for the big slide job move, trying to get clear. But McCann, keeping his foot in the throttle, has to make sure the 73 does not fully clear, and he can. And we continue to stay side by side, battling for this lead position. What a grueler these drivers are having right now. We want to give my flowers out to Chris Ditz. He has closed in the gap just slightly. Gavin Rogers, Vincent Soares also there, but Chuck Sweeting in 7th place. This is the best long run we've seen from the 57 so far. Staying in the top 10. Good job on his part as McCann survives another lap. Richard, this is impressive by the 8 machine.
It's impressive, but I know Jake Nichols, like the way he drives, I think he might just be playing games with Brian, forcing him to, drive the car a little harder on these exits to keep himself in front of him. As you can see, getting a little loose out of the turn. Almost tapped the wall, but he's able to still maintain the lead. Jake Nichols just waiting around, waiting for his tires to cool off a little bit before he starts his onslaught of attacks again. Just going to follow the wake of the number 8 machine on this outside line, going to try to build up that momentum and maybe make a drag race down the front stretch here.
To find the pace, find the run, go for attack mode, and it looks like the attack mode might be on for battle for 3rd place as Gavin Rogers gets to the inside. Gonna be side by side down into turn number 1. As like I said, Jake Nichols just forcing the 8 to run higher, go a little bit faster, really hurt those tires. As Gavin Rogers and Co are kind of having their own duel, and Rogers just an easy pass through 1 and 2, just one corner, and it's already done for 3rd. Everywhere else in the field, they've been having their back and forth, but McCann still leads this race, but he is feeling the pressure, the hot seat, all on the 8. You don't want to make a mistake, even with knowing that you're keeping the lead for now.
Yeah, you don't want to make any mistake at all. But Brian, I mean, we've seen the speed he's had earlier in the season. Also, one of the very first drivers to be able to challenge Jake Nichols and pass him under green flag racing. So, I mean, Brian's got the speed. He's got the long run pace as well. So he's doing a very good job keeping Jake Nichols behind him. But just for how long will he be able to keep it up? Is we're about 10 laps away from pit stops.
And there almost was a time of a caution. Ollie Fonseca, Jared Talmadge making a little bit of contact on the entry of turn 1 under this lap. Big save by the 27. He'll lose all the momentum he was building up. But Fonseca and Talmadge, a little bit of a scare, and I would expect Ollie, he might give this position back here in the next lap or so if Talmadge goes for another dive bomb move after the contact that was made.
Yeah, I mean, these two drivers have been racing side by side, and they are always racing aggressive around each other. Ollie He is a very defensive driver. He does not let you pass very easily. It's like his car is 3 lanes wide at times. He will do everything he can to cut off your exit, to pinch you down on the turns and make sure you don't get an exit. And he will keep to the outside, make sure he's got the momentum out of the turn. So Ollie Fonseca, one of those drivers in the field that's just extremely hard to pass at times.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was expecting to see right here. Ollie sees the 27 go for the dive bomb move, backs off, and is like, all right, now we're equal, now we're even. I'll stay behind you on this straightaway, but all gloves are off. Heading down into turn number 1. And these two had their history last week in New Hampshire with they had 3, almost 4 rounds of just Ollie trying to defend and hold back the 27. Able to do it just for a few laps, but I'm looking at the 67 behind them. That's Larry Yingling. I am shocked. You saw the bad Jake Nichols backing off and then able to attack and currently is in second place. Larry Yingling was almost following identically what the 73 was doing, but when Nichols went forward, Yingling has fallen backwards, now outside of the top 10. I was not expecting that from this 67 machine.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that either. I was expecting, at least him to start moving forward at some point, but he just keeps falling further and further back. But we're watching teammates right now of Cedric Hunter and Zach Hall. They're side by side. Zach Hall's trying to make the pass on Hunter and move up his 4th spot. He'll make the pass now. But, I mean, Zach Hall is just slowly and methodically passing cars one at a time. And now he's got Jan Van Leer, who's been really loose the past couple of laps. But Cedric Hunter not giving up. He's back to the inside of the 32.
And into the wall. You could see there was Chuck Sweeting in the 57. He was just hugging the wall off the exit of turn 2, losing multiple positions for the driver that was trying to stay inside of the top 10 before pit stops. No longer going to be the case, as now we're less than 10 laps from expecting our first pit stops of the night. All drivers want to at least make it to lap 30 before they make their pit stop. All of that madness is happening in the middle of the field up front. Jake Nichols, I think this might be the first time he's got a chance to slide and take the lead, and he just continues to put the pressure in McCann. That rear end has been slipping more every single lap, but he still defends for another attack and rally by the 73.
I mean, he is defending harder than Helms Deep right now. Brian McCann doing a fantastic job is keeping Jake Nichols behind him. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see, even to hear what his rear tire percentage is going to be on the wear, because as much as he's been slipping that rear end out, it's got to be a very angry set of tires. But I think now Jake Nichols is going to be able to clear this pass, and he will, right up to the front there in front of Brian McCann. McCann looks like he's going to have a little bit of a run. Little slip up there for Jake Nichols also, but he is now on the lead. It is going to be really hard for any of these drivers to catch him now.
Yeah, I mean, having the fresh air, really not as close as I think Gavin Rogers wishes he was. Thomas Green starting to rally back on his lap times, and that's with the battling back and forth that Nichols and McCann have been having. This is going to be our first real see of what pace does Nichols have, but he brushes the wall. A little bit of a scrub mark, forcing McCann to back off. And that hurt him greatly, and that's a big gain for Gavin Rogers, about 2/10 after that slide and tap into the wall. And for Jake Nichols, maybe got a little bit too generous with throttling up there off the exit of the corner.
This is a very good sight right here as we were riding along with Gavin Rogers. You can see how much counter steer these drivers have to put into this car to keep it straight. You're turning left on these turns, but as you see, he's kind of got the steering wheel turn a little left, and then you can see the yaw. You can see him counter steering, turning to the right, trying to keep his car as straight as possible. As the number 8 of Brian McCann, he is pitting pit road after 30 laps on track under green, and so is Cedric Hunter.
And that kind of was the window a lot of drivers were looking for. They all knew that this was going to be a multiple stop race, with the window being around 35 that you could push the fuel out to. And I love the call from Brian McCann right when he got past. Okay, we're at the 30 lap marker. I held off as long as I could. I kept it as close as I could to Jake Nichols. Now you need to maximize on this pit stop and take off and go. The only thing I'm kind of worried about is because of how great the drop-off has been on the tires, I feel like the driver that stays out a lap or two later might have a bigger advantage on those that pit early on right now, as Nichols slowing down and heading into pit road. Same with Gavin Rogers trying to follow him behind.
Same for Vincent Sora, but Vincent Sora is unable to get down into the pit road. A huge mistake for the 15. He got two sideways trying to get down onto the apron, and he's got to make another lap. He's going to be way off the pace, and he's going to be hoping for a yellow flag now to get himself back into it.
He has lost all of that time, went from being inside of our top 5 to now 10th place, and that's counting those that still haven't even pitted so far. A huge loss of time for the 15 of Vincent Sora. As we're watching the replay, this is going to be him heading down into turn number 3, getting reports. Okay, drivers are pitting, seeing drivers slow down, and he makes the emergency, I've got to follow with them, but it's too late. He gets too hard on the brakes with that transition down to the apron, just cannot get down into pit road, automatically stays out for an extra lap, finally is able to go into pit road, but with what cost? I mean, he's lost over 10 seconds plus just with that one mistake.
Yeah, that's, I was saying your race can be made or broken on pit road entries during green flag pit stops, and Vincent Sora, a prime example of that. His race almost done from that. We also saw Gavin and Jake Nichols here coming out of the pits. It looked like Gavin may have exited that blue line a little early. We'll have to see. I don't think he's got a black flag, which hopefully he doesn't, because nope, keeps on moving. Gavin, the no black flag. It looked really close, though, but he is right behind Jake Nichols.
Hey, but those little fine moments are what you have to do. Fastest lap of the day going to be from Brian McCann, who's leading all drivers that have already pitted. The gap, 2.5 seconds just by pitting a lap earlier. But is that 2.5 seconds a big enough gap over a 30-lap run to stay ahead? That's going to be the true question. Ryan Kelly, Ollie Fonseca, Larry Yingling, Douglas Newbigin still yet to hit pit road. They can stay out for another lap or two. But over the radio, Ryan Kelly has already announced he's heading into pit road this go-around. Ollie Fonseca, Larry Yingling, Douglas Newbigin, those 3 drivers, now they've got the hard choice. Do you pit now? Do you pit later? As almost contact between Talmadge and the 3 of Kelly, as Kelly goes with a much earlier approach heading down into the pit road.
Yeah, almost looked like a really fast entry. Was able to get it woed down, though. Forbes on the exit of pit road. He's out from getting his service, but Ryan Kelly, I mean, I think this pitting this far late could hurt these drivers. We'll have to see, in the next 25 plus laps to see if it actually benefits them. But in the early stages, it's not going to be very beneficial for them. But, I mean, some great work by everybody, though, getting on pit road for the most part for everyone, getting off clean. These drivers are just putting on a great show for us tonight after the first round of green flag pit stops.
Ollie Fonseca, as he finds himself wheeling around. He did lead that last lap, as now he's heading into pit road. Larry Yingling will follow in suit behind the 24. Douglas Newbigin stays out for another lap, hoping to lead this lap as he crosses the line. Douglas Newbigin will lead that lap. Douglas Newbigin, he's got some fun history here. Winner of Season 7, the first time they ever ran this exact vehicle at this track. Found his way that race, only one caution, and it was the stage caution that was thrown that day. Then came away second in the next season at Season 8 behind Brian P. Johnson that had a horrific wreck coming out of turn number 4 that day. But here tonight, Douglas Newbigin not really having the same speed that he had in the past. Here tonight, gets a lap led. He'll take that bonus point for the 77, and now, after stretching it as far as you can go, no, I take it back. He's stretching it even further. He is trying to find a way to go even further on the fuel for the 77.
I think he's got that extra little bit of gas hose in his system there from good old Robert B. Hall. Oh, he's clutching. That's why he's saving gas. Interesting strategy from Douglas Newbigin. He's playing this fuel-saving strategy over everybody else. We'll have to see how this plays out later in this run. But
if he can get to lap 41 or 40 heading into 41, there's an attempt to try to cut this whole entire race and cut a fuel stop away. And I think that's what the 77's hoping to do. He stays out for another lap. But the time that's being lost, that's 3 seconds, 3.5 seconds each lap plus. The Douglas Newbigin is giving away with trying to cut this time down. And I mean, it's a gutsy call. It's not one that you're thinking is going to work. But for Douglas Newbigin, he is trying to do the 2-stop while everyone else is going for the 3.
I mean, it's an interesting call to try to do the two stop, but the problem is he's going to have to do this kind of driving all three segments of racing he's going to do. It's not going to be as simple as just clutch this segment, get to lap 41 and then pit. He's going to have to do the same thing from lap 41 to 81, and then the same thing from 81 to 120. So it's an interesting strategy, but we'll have to see how it plays out. But that's just a lot of time he's losing by doing so.
Yeah, and this is not a small fuel saving run of like, okay, well, we'll try to find a way an extra 2 miles of distance. This is 4 to 5 laps that Douglas is trying to save. That is almost 10 miles of distance that you're trying to save on fuel that Douglas is doing right now.
Yeah, that is your 2 mile track here at Auto Club, and yeah, saving that much fuel is an impressive feat. And I'm curious. I mean, we're seeing him clutch now. I'm curious how long he's been clutching this race, though. I mean, he's put down to 41.67 fastest lap, but he is finally pitting. He's calling the strategy off here at lap 39. He'll click over to 40 through pit road. But I mean, it's very interesting strategy. We'll see how he does at the rest of the race.
I feel like he needed to go another lap if he was going to make this strategy look a little bit more doable. 39 into 40. That is going to be at least 1, maybe 2 laps shy if you continue at that pace. That is going to be a frustrating and disappointing run due to the fact that he did not get that lap 40 heading into lap 41. But with the passing of guard, now it's Brian McCann leading the way. And for Brian, I am concerned for this 8 machine because he is one of those drivers that he pitted the soonest of everybody. He took the chance to put down the fastest lap of the day, and he was really burning up those tires very quickly, while Jake Nichols, Gavin Rogers, they were patient. They know their tires are going to be better overall in this run, and they are slowly chipping away on this gap that once was almost 3 seconds, now down to 2.2.
Yeah, and they're running 0.3 of a second faster than Brian McCann. And Gavin's doing exactly what I suggested earlier. Follow Jake Nichols. Learn what he's doing and match his speed. Then you should be able to save the same amount of tires. And Gavin is with Jake Nichols as they're chasing down Brian McCann. Now it's a 2-second gap back to Jake Nichols from Brian. How long is he going to be able to keep this up? But even then, like, we've seen him be able to defend from Jake when he catches him, so maybe he's going to have another round 2 and try to hold him off as long as he can.
Find a way to hold off the drivers around you is going to be the key thing. Also want to give a report on Douglas Newbigging. He is already clutching. First lap out, he is already trying to save the fuel. So the 77 is trying to still cut down and go for the 2-stop, while the rest of the field is going for a 3-stop run. As here's Jan Van Leer, who grabbed his first ever top 5 finish last week at New Hampshire. He was a part of a couple of other drivers. Chris Stitz was, and a few others were attempting the same run of trying to get their first top 5. This 10 here tonight, we saw late in the run, was really struggling on the rear ends, how much he was losing on grip. Currently, the Tide machine runs in 11th. Not a bad place to be after the fuel and pit stints being concluded.
Yeah, a great run from him so far. And again, a fantastic run from him last week. And I've got to say, that 10 Tide machine is probably one of my favorite cars on track. The best thing about these Legacy Gen 4s is there's not really a manufacturer that's officially attached to these cars. So he has actually went out and got the grille and the light decals of the Pontiac. And it's such a good look. It's probably one of my favorite Gen 4 models back in the early 2000s was the Pontiac. And he is doing everything he can, making that 10 look good and as fast as he possibly can get.
It's one of the booth's favorites. I know our producer in the background, Robert Moyer Jr., he loves Tide machines. Any type of version of a Tide machine that's out there, he loves and adores, and he loves seeing this one out on track as Jan Van Leer trying to catch up to Chris Stitz, who I'm kind of shocked to see Stitz this far back. He was starting to close in on our top 5. Similar runs to Vincent Sora, but just not there. The driver that's really maximized from all this pit sequence is going to be the driver in 6th place currently. That is going to be Zach Hall, as well as 5th place runner of Jared Talmadge. Both up, going to be up 11 spots is Jared Talmadge. Zach is up 12 positions from where he started. Great jobs on their part throughout that first few pit sequence to gain all the spots that maybe they were not gaining as quickly as they were hoping, and all the mistakes that they saw other drivers have.
Yeah, that is impressive work from Zach Hall and Jarrett Talmadge. I mean, that I was not expecting them to gain that many positions just from pit road cycle out. That is huge for both of those drivers, and their time in the box and even in pit road wasn't much different than everybody else. I think just all the guys behind them just made the small mistakes that put them that far back. But these guys are showing some great long run pace and doing a good job and taking advantage of that pit road success for themselves.
They certainly have been, and they continue on the run of trying to run down Brian McCann, Jake Nichols, Gavin Rogers. As the difference between first and second is now less than 1.5 seconds, it's down to 1.3 at this time. Brian McCann, I mean, he just done a great job halfway through his stint. Still having the lead, I think, is a big positive for himself, but with how quickly he's being caught, I think this is really in the hands of Gavin Rogers and Jake Nichols on what pace they have for themselves. But I also think they need to look right behind them. Thomas Green, he's got a 1 lap advantage over Gavin Rogers and Jake Nichols, starting to close in on these guys.
Yeah, these two are, I mean, Thomas Green definitely catching up to Gavin Rogers and Jake Nichols as well, running just a little bit faster than them. They've kind of fallen off ever so slightly. They've been out 1 lap longer than Thomas Green as well. So, I mean, it's impressive to see the tire difference on just a couple of lap differences from these guys. And when they're pit, I mean, you have Brian McCann, who pit 16 laps ago. He's running 0.3 slower than Jake Nichols and Gavin Rogers, who pit together. And then you have Thomas Green and Jarrett Talmadge, who are running just a little bit faster than those two, and they've only been out a lap longer than those, or a lap shorter than those guys. So, I mean, 1 lap difference is huge, it looks like, with the tire wear.
It certainly does look like it, and a lot of these guys going back and forth, and the big thing right now, and our producers kind of starting to see it, right front damage for the 73, as well as starting to be grabbed for Gavin Rogers behind. Main reason why, they're starting to brush the wall. We saw Nichols get into the wall a couple of times during that first stint. Rogers has also kind of brushed the wall a couple of times through 1 and 2, and that seems to be the dangerous spot where you're trying to maximize your speed, but the wall is going out there and trying to grab you as much as possible.
Yeah, and that is actually some pretty significant damage on the front of 73 machine as well. So, I mean, they've been brushing that wall, trying to utilize that outside line the best they possibly can. And sometimes you push that limit just a little bit too far. You get that right rear caught onto the wall, and it kind of turns you into the wall, and that's where he's getting his damage from. So, doesn't seem to be affecting his speed. He's up here about to challenge Brian McCann. That lead has dwindled down to 0.2 of a second. Brian McCann is going to have to fend now from the attack and onslaught of Jake Nichols.
He certainly is, but I really want us to hop on board with the one of Gavin Rogers, get into a cockpit, because the exit of the corners, this one is brutal on these tires. He's 17 laps into this run, but he is almost going 90 degrees, counter steering off the exit of the corner, just staying on the edge, and he is just cooking the rear ends. That's probably the first time that he's been able to keep the car as stable as it was. It's been even more sideways coming off the exit of the corner the last 2 laps.
Yeah, he's trying to get every inch of speed he possibly can from this car. And, I mean, I think Gavin needs to start looking into doing some dirt track racing, because that's exactly what you need to do when you're racing those super late models and sprint cars on a dirt track.
Look at how much he is counter steering. It is brutal as the leaders side by side. It took him 18 laps, but Jake Nichols is finally back to the position he was at right when the fuel cycles, right when the pit stop cycle began. And if you're Brian McCann, you got to think, wow, 1 lap, and I just lost 1 lap advantage on tires is this massive. Maybe I need to go 1 lap further than Jake Nichols on the next time that I go into the pit road.
Yeah, I think right now what he needs to do is he needs to kind of get those tires cooled off a little bit, try to maintain pace with Gavin and Jake Nichols. Now follow these guys around and pit with them or pit a lap later than them, and try to use that for your advantage. But pitting early, I don't think is going to go to the advantage of that next time.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the pace that we're seeing up front, you need every advantage possible to stay close to 73. Gavin Rogers went with the approach that you threw out, Richard, of just follow him, see what you can learn. And now it's what advantages can you gain to get above on the pace of the 73 that's trying to gap his way from second and third position runners. Thomas Green, I'm looking at his lap times, still keeping pace, enough faster than Jake Nichols, another driver who pitted with Thomas Green. The unfortunate thing is that he's 2.5 seconds back. Jarrett Talmadge, he is one of the fastest drivers on track currently, runs in fifth, and now we got to be thinking, if he wasn't tapped and sliding and lost about over a half a second to the contact with Ollie Fonseca, he could be closer to Thomas Green and a little bit closer to fighting with maybe our top four right now.
Yeah, he definitely could be, but I mean, his lap times are just screaming around this track, so much faster than those guys up front. I mean, if he keeps it up, he should be able to catch them before the next round of pit stops, and then he can just pace along with these guys and pit with them or pit a lap after, but he's done a fantastic job catching up to this group up front.
This might be a sign of his pit stops expected to be opened up here in the next 9 to 15 laps. That's going to be the window for a lot of these drivers to enter pit road for the second time. If you're Douglas Newbigging, you've still got a long ways to go before your next pit stop, as he is going with the very oddball strategy of trying to cut down on one stop, saving the fuel. He's currently runs in 16th position, attempting everything to save the fuel to make it to the end. Here's another driver that's further on back, Ben Keeney, and the 98 machine, as he has been just trying to figure out these cars, find a little bit more pace. He's currently in survival mode with a car that's this angry and mad. We'll see how Ben, who runs back in 17th place, what is he feeling back here as he's going with a little bit of a different approach, get down to that white line and just make this track as short as possible and make it off the exit as clean as possible, as he's doing everything to keep this thing straight.
Yeah, he's doing all he can to keep this car under the best possible control he can. He's not overdriving the car, he's keeping it as straight as he can as well, trying not to counter steal. I don't think he's comfortable with the counter steer a lot of these drivers have been doing. I mean, I know from personal experience sometimes, I'm trying to feel where that counter steer is on these cars can be so scary at times, because at one point you think you're doing enough countering and then all of a sudden you're just spinning around. But Ben Keeney's just trying to drive as comfortable and safe as possible back here.
Yeah, counter steering is so difficult to deal with. I have that sense of, okay, I'm on that thin line, I'm maximizing my speed, to I just gripped up and I'm throwing myself into the outside wall, is so close to just a small mistake. And you're doing that as watching some drivers trying to rebound off of their mistakes. Vincent Sora, who missed pit road, gave up over probably 8 to 9 seconds with missing pit entry and how much time he just threw away. Currently back in 11th position, trying to find a way to stay ahead of Chuck Sweeting, and who's in 12th place. As 15's night, complete shift. Went from I needed a perfect night tonight to get myself back into the fight for the championship, to tonight could be the nail in the coffin for Vincent Sora, trying to become a second driver to be a 3-time champion. He might not be getting it this season. Based off this performance, he's really got to change things up into the second half of this race.
I don't think it'll be a complete nail in the coffin. He'll still have a little bit of control over it, but he's got to have a perfect final 4 races of this season as well. So he's doing everything he can to try to maximize the amount of points he can, even fathomably get at this point. He seems like he is struggling with that car also. I think he overdrove the car trying to move his way back up through the field, and he keeps bobbling and bouncing all over these turns, trying to keep this car under control, and it is just not going his way without, the mistake he made going forward.
Now you talk about bobbling and having mistakes that you're trying to recover from. Here's the 00 Brian Noel. 4 laps down, reason why, got into the wall and continues to have those issues. Sat in pit road for over 2.5 minutes, trying to get repairs done, and 00 just trying to make it through the night, get a little bit more experience in the car, and gonna need a few more cautions to get back onto the lead lap. But right now, well, we gotta give kudos to him for at least sticking it out. I know once you get this point of a race, especially with how the WSSR is known for not really bringing out a lot of cautions, to stay out, being multiple laps down, you're just doing it because you want to be racing out there on track, and we're happy to not see the give up button be thrown out for the 00 here tonight.
Yeah, it is. It's such a tough, defeating feeling whenever you're so far back. You had damage, you had to spend that long on pit road, and your race is basically done. Again, knowing that this field doesn't really cause a lot of cautions and how spread out they are. I'm actually shocked how spread out this field is. It's really impressive to see at Auto Club. But he's just out there clocking some laps, getting some more seat time, trying to see if there's anything better he can do. Maybe just throw down the fastest lap at one point in time, because why not? So, but glad to see he's still on track, keeping the car count up to 18 that we had at the start of the race.
And taking an early approach into pit road, going to be Chris Stitz in the 17, as well as the driver we were just talking about, Brian Noel. Both going to be hitting pit road here on lap 59. Kind of a really early stop to take, but this is in the window to still keep you in a 3-stop position. So you can still pit now, try to gain a few positions, as you're going to be seeing drivers expected to hit pit road this lap or the next is when we're going to see a lot of these front runners, I think, hit pit road for themselves here in the next 2 laps is expected, at least for Jake Nichols and Gavin Rogers and Brian McCann. But I feel like if you're Brian McCann of the 8, you have done exactly what you needed to do. That is see Jake Nichols ahead of you and be within a second to that 73. Now you got to hope that you have the tire advantage heading into the next race. And want to give, again, flowers and kudos to Brian Noel. He's called it a night. He was hoping that there might have been a caution or few that could have popped up in the middle of this pit cycle. Has not happened. So we're down to 17 drivers out on track, and Chris Stitz about to give a show for those in the middle of the pack of what fresh tires look like to new tires, as he's trying to carve his way through the field. As here we go, he already passed 2, about to get by Chuck Sweeting, as another pack of drivers on the pit road. That's Jarrett Talmadge and Cedric Hunter will be taking their early pit stop.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Stitz is definitely going to show what new tires can do against old tires. He's going to look like Superman, but he's got to be careful with it as well. He's got to be able to save those tires. And, you know, you said earlier with Brian McCann, he did exactly what he needed to do. You read my mind on that. I was going to talk about it as well, but he has stayed on the bumper of the #1 machine. These top 4 are within a second of each other. These guys, this is the race for the win up here. And it looks like the 73 dives down. He's going to take into pit road. That was a late pit entry for him as well.
A very aggressive pit entry, and almost got himself a black flag with having an unsafe pit entry, maximizing on the attempt, and it works out. No black flag for the 73, as he will head into pit road to get service done. 4 tires and fuel. Vincent Sora as well will come in this lap to try to get service done. Now it's in the hands of Gavin Rogers, Brian McCann. You aren't following the 73. You're trying to find an advantage. Do you hit this lap or the next? Do you feel like you have enough time to rebound while giving up all the time? Or are you just going to settle in as the 7, as the 1, the 8? They will head into pit road a lap after the 73. I love this call. Swap the advantage. You know there is one with having the tires. And Zach Hall with a big slide in pit road entry as the 32 facing the wrong direction. And oh no, all that time gained for Hall. Throw it away as a poor pit stop for himself, as the rest of the field still in the middle of this pit cycle. And on top of that, black flag given to the 32.
Oh, unfortunate for Zach Hall. He was having such a good night up to that. Got a little aggressive with how he was trying to come into the pits to try to make up time, and just spun it around. And I can just imagine being in chat with him right now. I can hear him laughing about that. I know he makes mistakes very little, and he's got to be laughing at himself about that one.
I hope he's laughing. I hope he's not taking any hardship of it. I know Zach and I and Robert were racing, as well as you, Richard, in the BRB Cup Series yesterday, and he found himself making a pit mistake during that race. So having 2 nights with some major pit mistakes, I don't think he's going to get the luck of the draw from last night of having a caution that kind of saved him. Here tonight, he's just got to tough it out and make it to the end of this thing, as still middle of the pit cycle underway. Still waiting for 7 drivers to make their stops. That's going to be John Forbes, Ryan Kelly, Ollie Fonseca, Chuck Sweeting, Larry Yingling, Jan Van Leer, and Douglas Newbigging. And here comes season 10 champion of John Forbes heading into pit road.
Heading into pit road, Ryan Kelly now out in front in the lead with Ollie Fonseca behind him. About 4 seconds, but Ryan Kelly's going to stretch this as long as he can. He's been out for 30 laps. Wonder when he's going to make the call to come down pit road. but a lot of drivers, they've been making their pits between 30 and 35, so we'll have to see how long Ryan decides he wants to go for, but still got to make one more pit stop before the end of the race. The only driver that's really potentially not going to have to do that is going to be Douglas Newbigging. I am curious. I mean, his times are still a little bit faster than some of the other guys who have not been clutching.
I am shocked at the pace the 77 actually has been doing. He has been flying out there and still clutching at that rate. This has been impressive by Douglas Newbigging. Now, he has given up so much time during that first run, and especially in those final 10 laps where everyone else is already pitted and he's still out there. He's giving up towards 3.5 to 4 seconds each and every lap. And we will see Jake Nichols get by Douglas Newbigging before Douglas makes his final stop of the night. But it's then going to come down to how well can Douglas hope that cutting down on a pit stop is saving him here tonight compared to everyone else.
Well, the thing is, because of how, not aggressive he's driving this car with the clutching, he's not burning those tires up. This is why he's able to run these faster laps than some of these guys who have not been doing his strategy. So, I mean, this potentially could very well be a race-winning strategy for Douglas. And if it is, it's going to be a really impressive feat for himself. And it just, honestly, I really hope it does work out for him.
We talked about how the guys up front, they want to try to follow, maybe learn things from Jake Nichols, but it always is, if you want to win the race, you can't just follow what the leader does. And right now, Douglas being the one driver, trying something different, trying to cut away a pit stop from the competition, and he still has quite a ways to go as he's got to make the mark of at least lap 81. That is where he needs to hit. If he cannot get to lap 81, this could be a game over moment. If we see, he only was able to make it to lap 39 before, I'm concerned that he didn't even get to lap 40. That's the part that I'm like, oh, I don't know about this call for himself. But Douglas trying to find a miracle. Can he find just a couple of more drops of fuel as Ollie Fonseca heads into pit road? Larry Yingling going to be the next one to head into pit road following the 24, and then we'll hand the reins over to the 77 Douglas Newbigging. But looking at the drivers that have already pitted, Jake Nichols leads the way in third position. Jared Talmadge, who went with the earlier pit stop, he currently would come away second after this pit stop window is completed. Ryan McCann, Gavin Rogers, looking at their lap times, they're 2 seconds back from Jake Nichols. This is great on their part, but I'm concerned that Gavin is following the pace of the 8 machine, because Brian McCann has been torching those tires when he gets freshies on.
He usually has been. Looking at the lap times, it's not anything, extremely fast for themselves. I mean, Jake Nichols, Jared Talmadge are both running 42.1, so they're definitely going, much slower than Brian and Gavin themselves. So maybe they need to dial it back just a little bit, but that 2 second gap, they've got to eat into it somehow, some way, a little faster. So that's probably why they're running just a little bit harder themselves. At 67 here, right along with Larry Yingling, still out on track after 33 laps, still leading this race. He's got to figure out when he's going to make this the trip down pit road to get service. But Douglas Newbigging, he's about 8 seconds back from Larry, still clutching his ride. And I think he'll be able to make it to that magic number that you were talking about, Sam, about 81, because he's been clutching this entire stint versus the start of the race where he was going a little bit faster for the first couple of laps.
And also, they had that little run of having the first lap before the start of the race, where that killed a little bit of extra fuel that the 77 was looking for, and little bits and pieces find that extra time. It's now into pit road going to be Larry Yingling, as he's felt like he's gone as far as his fuel will let him go, and that's not clutching. The driver that has been clutching and hoping that he's found the clutch bone to get himself into victory lane for the second time here at Auto Club, staying out. He's got 10 laps of what can you find on saving fuel on this run. He's got to save 5 extra laps. That's the number that he needs to save, and that is 10 miles. That number will start in about 4 laps. That is when the "because he saved enough" window will pop up. But this has been an incredible run to watch Douglas. He's made things a little bit more interesting for us to cheer on. The fuel mileage isn't there. And if you'd like to make a choice of, what would you like to race like the pros, or at least feel like you're racing like the pros, head on over to GTR Simulators today, one of the major sponsors that's been a part of the WSSR Cup Series for multiple seasons. Head on over to gtrsimulators.com. Check out their wide variety of racing rigs, from their compact versions that can be folded up and put away, or their stationary racing rigs. Go check out their variety of different choices. And remember, when purchasing, to use the promo code WSSR at checkout for 10% off on $100 or more at gtrsimulators.com. Don't miss out on your chance to upgrade your rig and race like the pros. Speaking about racing like the pros, I mean, this grouping of drivers, it was a gap of about a second, almost 2 seconds. It's now down to less than a second between these 4 drivers: Jake Nichols, Jared Talmadge, Brian McCann, Gavin Rogers. They're all here within 9 laps. Brian McCann and Gavin Rogers is caught up, but was that close? Quick, rapid catch-up. Gonna kill those tires where they have nothing to defend Jake Nichols later on in this run.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how much they've used to try to catch these guys, or if they're kind of plateaued with each other now. But Jarrett Talmadge, again, another phenomenal pit road experience for him. He's able to get through, and he's up here in basically second place once Douglas makes his pit stop. So, I mean, Jake has worked his way up 13 positions to be in this spot. I don't know what he is doing on pit road, but he has got some all-stars working behind the box, making sure he gets in and out as quick as possible.
And you know what's crazy? I'm looking at his box times on how long he stays in pit road box, getting service done of tires and fuel. He has one of the longer stops of all drivers. It's just because he's pitting a lap or 2 sooner than his competition. That gains, and the fact that he's been able to spread out his tire wear and tire heat throughout a run has allowed the 27 to keep and hold his positioning. Really has done a fabulous job, and honestly, could be the driver leading this race when the pit cycle ends if he wasn't tapped and spun by sliding by Ollie Fonseca. That one mistake could have been putting this 27 as our leader, or about to be the leader, as they've caught up to Douglas Newbigging.
Yeah, they've caught up to Douglas Newbigging now, but Douglas still sticking to his guns, clutching his ride. He's got about 6 more laps to save on fuel before he needs to come in, but I just hope he can make it those 6 more laps. He's been clutching, but 73 gets a little loose there. But these guys are fighting back here for that second position. They were almost 3 wide going through turns 1 and 2.
Well, you talked about the fact of the contact between the 27 and the 24. Now, Jared Talmadge, he needs to bring out some Ollie Fonseca defensive moves. Defend, hold on, and the 27 defends for another run. And continuing on his way, he's now going to get alive with Douglas Newbigging to get that draft. Now we'll move up. 77, just trying everything and hoping this strategy will save enough time. But due to the fact that he has been caught and passed before making his second pit stop, I'm concerned that Douglas Newbigging, even with cutting away that pit stop, he's in a losing run. And the net gain that looked impressive, I don't think it's a winning one, because he needs the pit, so does the rest of the field. And just one more stop for everybody means that this is not a net win for the 77.
Yeah, I think the only thing that can save him is maybe just taking some right side tires and fuel. But, it just depends on, I don't even know exactly how long it takes to fill these cars up if 4 tires are about the same time as a full fuel tank. So, I mean, it's a bold strategy still, and he's sticking to it, but I don't think it's going to pan out the way he was hoping at the end there. But these 4 drivers up front in the lead, Jake Nichols, Jared Talmadge, Brian McCann, and Gavin Rogers, they are still going at it for that second place. But thing is, they might be trying to go at it for second place. They still have to catch Jake Nichols if they want a chance to win this.
But Nichols is right there. I mean, he's right in front of him. He's just 3/10 ahead. You still have him in your windshield. It feels like it's touching distance, and you're just having a fun stack 3 wide. Brian McCann got to be careful with Talmadge, though, almost brushing the wall. That big wiggle, loss of time, really wasn't much. They're actually still gaining on Nichols, so I think Nichols is keeping it in his windshield. Okay, if I can keep these drivers within a distance, I'm saving my tires. They're abusing them. Maybe I'll have that advantage in the later run of this race. While Brian McCann and Gavin Rogers, they continue to run. And honestly, I feel like it's the one that's in the best position of this whole group. But that's if he can make clean passes efficiently when he decides to go into go mode.
Yeah, I don't think Gavin's really been overdriving the car. He's just been kind of putting it in a place to try and get a pass done. He's going to try to stick his nose to the outside of Brian McCann. He's going to back off a little bit. I guess he felt that Cole was not going to, keep Brian McCann down like he thought it was. But he's going to back off a little bit more. Jake Nichols is opening that gap a little bit more as well. They might be within touching distance to Jake Nichols, but again, these guys are using their tires, trying to get around each other. And this is going to take away their ability to attack Jake Nichols if they can catch him.
I honestly feel under Brian McCann and Gavin Rogers, you still have about 10 to 15 laps for maybe that final window pops up to you're thinking about making your final stop. I just don't understand why you would want to push this aggressive to get by Talmadge if you know you can't make the pass immediately. Just ride behind him. Don't kill those tires and don't throw away your race as McCann tries to hold back the momentum of the 27. Not going to be the case. Talmadge dives down low. Rogers following the 8, hoping he's chosen the right line that will move forward. And also, note, lap 80 into pit road. Douglas Newbigin, he got to 80, but it wasn't 80 to 81. It was 79 to 80. This is going to be close for himself. He's going to be about a lap shy heading into this final stop for himself. We'll see if it works out. But this is going to be a fun one to watch as Jake Nichols, Brian McCann, and Gavin Rogers and Jared Talmadge, these 4 drivers, this could be the hunt for the win unless Thomas Green can come out of nowhere, who's about 1.7 seconds back, trying to close in the gap.
Yeah, Thomas Green is also looking pretty sharp right now. He's a little further back, trying to run as smooth as he possibly can to catch these guys, build his speed up, as they've been fighting for, the past 5 laps now. But it looks like Brian McCann should be able to get the run on the backstretch. Gavin might be able to follow suit. He's going to be able to get his nose to the outside of Jarrett Talmadge. This puts Talmadge in a really bad spot. He's going to lose 2 spots in 1 turn.
Almost had a caution come out. John Forbes battling back in 6th place with Ryan Kelly. Gets into the outside wall off the exit of turn 2. To keep it rolling for himself. Those rear tires for the 7 starting to fade away, and he's actually on some of the fresher tires of everyone that's out on track currently inside of the top 10. Ryan Kelly has 1 lap better tires than the 7. A little bit of extra pressure from the 3, trying to run down those front runners, but they're currently about 3 seconds back from Jake Nichols currently. But we'll see off the exit turn 2 here. Does Forbes get loose again? These drivers just counter steering every lap. It's impressive to watch and see as the 77 of Douglas Newbigin rides behind them and watches all these drivers going back and forth.
Watching them going back and forth. I mean, John Forbes is hoping for a mistake from any of those drivers ahead of him. It's getting close. Gavin's looking to make a move on the inside of Brian McCann, but he's going to back off, not do very smart. But John Forbes, they've caught up to Douglas Newbigin. He is now a lap down. He is going to be, that was his last pit stop if he can make his strategy work. So we'll have to see if this works in these last 40 laps for himself. But, oh man, it's going to be a tough one for Douglas Newbigin.
And Douglas is still clutching. He will still be trying to make this strategy work. He's made his bet. He's going to land it. He is no longer going to be pitting for the rest of the night. And that last lap was his fastest lap of the race, a 41.6, and that's about 0.3 slower than the fastest lap of the race, and that's with him clutching at times. This is impressive by the 77, who's now caught our front 4, and now has to look for a way to zigzag around him.
Yeah, he's got to find a way to zigzag around him, but I mean, like, he's not really going to be much faster than them, but he's got to get ahead of them. He's got to get a little bit of space between them so he can make this work out, because, I mean, he just lost so much time doing this. I don't think he was expecting him to catch him and lap him after his pit stop.
Absolutely not, but he'll have to go down low and just gain as much time as possible and see where the cards line up. And like we have out there in chat of We Are Lucky Ducks, if Douglas gets a caution at the right time, it's still there. I mean, it's still possible for this 77. He's now back on the lead lap, so a caution would help him out. And all these drivers do have, as tonight they were given 4 extra sets in pit road to work with. Everyone still has an extra set here this evening to put on if we have some late cautions that kind of change things up and spice up the action. But I know our top 4, they're going to give us such a show here after this final pit stop. Here's some of the drivers in the back half of the top 10. Ali Fonseca, Vincent Sora. I mean, this is a tale that we saw in the first about 40 laps of New Hampshire last week, and they're back at it again. 9th and 10th place, Fonseca, Sora. Will Fonseca give up, or will he keep on fighting? And it looks like for the 24, it is a never give up battle. He continues to try to rip the outside, but Sora, he tries to get ahead, but just can't. Ollie, what a run for himself off the exit of the corner.
Ali Fonseca not allowing Vincent to get up next to the wall. He's going to take away that lane. Vincent Sora losing a lot of time due to that. He had to kind of turn down to not get into Ali Fonseca, but he is back looking on the outside, trying to get that run to get around Ollie. But it is round 2 for these guys from New Hampshire to Ottawa.
We just continue to brawl back and forth. What a frustrating feeling to see that it's the same driver last week that you're being trapped behind. And I know for us personally, Richard is doing a lot more racing for myself. You've been doing a lot of racing outside of the WSSR. When you've got that one driver, you cannot find a way to get around, and they're always fighting you each and every week. It is such a frustrating point when you finally get near them during the race.
Yeah, it is. Like, you know they're ahead of you, and you're like, I know I'm going to catch them, but it's going to be a long, frustrating couple of laps until I can get around them. And it can really mess up your rhythm. It can mess up your mental a little bit also, and just completely throw you off for the next 5 to 10 laps afterward sometimes. So, you know, the quicker you can get around them, the better off you are. And it's just, Ali Fonseca has been that thorn for Vincent Sora, so it's been rough for these two.
And as these drivers continue to go back and forth, Ali Fonseca ripping the top, making it work for himself with the pressure tires of those around. Want to bring up our race report as drivers are getting ready to make their pit stops here tonight for their final one. Douglas has already made his final one, but if you're just joining us for the first time this evening, we have been caution-free. Yep, 0 cautions. We ran 88 laps, and it has been a clean and green race. We've had plenty of different lead changes with the different times we've gone into the pit road. It's been primarily Jake Nichols, Brian McCann, Gavin Rogers that have been the front runners for most of this evening. But this has been a great Auto Club race, kind of giving shades of that Season 7, where there was only 1 caution that evening. It was the stage break, and the driver that won that day, well, it's the driver that we're curious on how his strategy will work out. Douglas Newbigging won on that very low caution count day. Here tonight, he might need a caution to get back into this fight, but he has actually been fighting some really good lap times for the 77. Also, here's your weather and track temps. Air temperature, 87 degrees Fahrenheit. That track temp, a little aggressive, 128 degrees Fahrenheit. Wind also has been pushing rapidly back and forth. But I gotta say, that track temp is really what's made this race so much fun to watch, and why there's been a lot of wear and tear, especially on the rear end.
There's been a lot of wear and tear, and that track temp is 128 degrees. I mean, that is a scorching track. But Sam, while we were talking about the weather, a pass for the lead. Brian McCann has made it and has passed Jake Nichols for the lead, with Gavin Rogers now knocking on the door, trying to get around Jake Nichols as well. This is exactly what they were looking forward to for pitting a lap later. They've got a little bit more life in the tires than Jake, as those two are trying to attack and get back around him. But Jake not giving up. He's going to shoot to the inside and try a challenge for first place himself.
It is if you look at the team aspect of things, a 1v3. You've got the Cody Glenn Cox Music Racing driver, Brian McCann, going up against Lucky Duck Motorsports as Gavin Rogers, going to be Jake Nichols, as well as Jared Talmadge, trying to find a way to get around these machines. But Brian McCann and his mirror, as they're battling 3 wide for the lead. It's a teammate for the 8 machine of Ryan Kelly, who's trying to make this, instead of a 4-horse race, a 5-horse race. And even behind them, John Forbes is starting to close in the gap. And this is right at the time that we're expecting drivers to think about their final pit stops. Do you want to pit early or later? A lot is counting on these next 3 laps. And is it going to be Jared Talmadge, who's been the driver who's pitted early each and every time we've had a pit cycle? Or will it be someone else that maybe takes that gamble? And it's the 27. He's going to take the gamble once again into pit road. First driver of our top 5 to do so, as Ryan Kelly has caught up and is flying right now for the 3 machine.
Ryan Kelly has put his name in the hat for the win as well, as these guys are starting to group back up. But Jarrett Talmadge is taking the first pit road strategy call as he dove down this last lap. These four nose to tail, but last lap, Gavin Rogers took it 3 wide and passed 2 cars. Birthday boy to the front of the field in the number 1 machine. What lap are these guys planning on coming down pit road, knowing Talmadge has already came down to get his service and the last pit stop of the night?
This is why we changed the car. This is why they wanted a little bit more of a chance to race around one another. It's Gavin Rogers leading the charge. Thomas Green, who's made the pit stop, the 31, trying to get quickly around all these drivers as fast as possible to make himself be the first driver on the lead lap. But as he's ripping the top, you gotta be careful. Gavin Rogers trying to give space, but the 31 making the hole, and back on the lead lap is Thomas Green. Still our top 4 are right here, but you see that white number 7, John Forbes, who's had some wild moments himself here tonight. He was in the wall 10 laps ago. He's now less than a second back to 4th place, and he's about to make this group even bigger. How did it go from simply just a group of 3 to now a group of 5? Make it more as 3 into pit road. Rogers, McCann, also going to be Nichols as Kelly and Forbes stay out for another lap. They want the advantage.
Yeah, they want the advantage. These 3 feel like it's time to come in. Ryan Kelly, John Forbes, 1-2 now. We also saw Thomas Green and Jarrett Talmadge. Those 2 already done with their pits. They were battling for position as well, as they will potentially be the race leaders after these pit cycle goes through. Let's see what these 3 can come out and do, whether 2 tires is going to be the call, or if they're just going to get 4 in full fuel and keep on going, as Jarrett Talmadge and Thomas Green are coming out of turn 4.
Coming out of turn number 4, they will be attached, they will be together, and they will be the leaders as Ryan Kelly now going to be heading into pit road. He's sliding, he's wiggling, a little bit of lost time for himself. John Forbes going to be following in suit as he'll head into pit road. No one has been caught with speeding on this run. Now Chuck Sweeting heading into pit road for himself. Larry Yingling will follow in suit, and that will leave one driver banking on. Does he have enough fuel? He won't be having the lead after the next few laps, but Douglas Newbegin, with the pit cycle finishing up, his strategy of trying to cut a lap, cut a pit stop away, has given him the lead for now, but the gap is a little bit too small to try to hold back the rest of the field that is closing rapidly on Douglas Newbegin.
Yeah, they're going to close in the next 3 to 5 laps and get around him. It's just, I think this pace that he has is just unable to get the gap that he really needed with this clutch strategy. I mean, it was a long shot, but again, if a caution comes out, he's still in the ball game. He can get in a free pit stop, basically, as a lot of drivers will probably come in and take their last set of tires as well. So, I mean, Douglas Newbegin could still come out in a very big advantage here if a caution does fly.
We also want to say thank you to those out in chat of Lucky Duck Motorsports who just gave us a super chat of popcorn flying, $1.49. Thank you so much for donating and supporting the broadcast team. This is now the critical moment. Looking at these drivers, how do you want to run this race? You've got Douglas Newbegin, who's just going to be out there. He's a sitting duck. Then you've got the other Lucky Duck Motorsports drivers of Thomas Green and Jarrett Talmadge. Do you burn off your tires to try to build a big enough gap? Or are you going to be like Gavin Rogers and Brian McCann, who've already pitted and are just sitting where they're at, slowly getting those positions and times back? Or is Jake Nichols, who took that approach of saving to an extreme over the 1 and the 8, he has backed off from being a half a second off of Brian McCann and Gavin Rogers. He's a full second and a half off of Rogers. This is an aggressive approach by the 73. How well can he get tag on and go? We also want to say thank you once again to Lucky Duck Motorsports for another super chat of $1.99. Again, thank you for helping to support the broadcast crew. But Richard, this is it. This is the madness. Who's got the better strategy? And it's just a difference of 3 laps of when you decide to go into pit road.
and the varying strategies these drivers have went with, and it's all about tire wear. It wasn't about fuel. It wasn't about amount of time on pit road. It was all about how long you want to be able to make these tires last. I mean, we saw one lap can make a huge difference after 27 plus laps. So, I mean, these drivers, I mean, they're all, think they can save the tires the best. I mean, we saw John Forbes almost throw his name into the hat there for the win. We had Brian Kelly catch up to this group of drivers near the end of that run. So I think when it comes down to the white lap, we will not know who's going to be winning this until they cross the start-finish line.
I know on our ticker board this is for second, but they are about to close in and pass Douglas Newbigging very quickly of Jarrett Talmadge and Thomas Green. But I got to throw it out to you. What is going on with Jarrett Talmadge and Thomas Green? Why are you battling this hard? This is the almost exact scenario that we saw last season at Roval, where teammates are racing each other so aggressively that they throw away a good finish. Do not battle each other. Don't waste each other's tires. Pick who's the fastest, let them roll and follow them as you're trying to get by Douglas Newbigging, the driver who attempted. You got to give credit on the fact that he tried something different compared to the rest of the field, cutting his pit stop into just 2 compared to the rest of the field that went with 3. Richard, I'm shocked on the fact of how much battling was just happening there between the 27 and the 31.
And, and their teammates as well with Lucky Ducks, so it's interesting. I mean, I know these drivers of the Lucky Ducks, they all race like it's, they're going for the win each and every single lap. They race each other all hard. But I think for a strategy part for the end of the race, I don't think that was the right call. They were racing really hard. Right now, Jarrett Talmadge does have the lead. It looks like Thomas Green will just kind of fall suit and just save a little bit, let those tires cool down. But Gavin Rogers is slowly starting to catch them. Ryan Kelly also that's Brian McCann, slowly starting to catch as well. These guys are moving up through the field and catching these front 2. I hope they didn't waste or burn up those tires a little bit too much and allow these guys to catch when they didn't need that to happen.
Well, let's get these sponsorships in quick, because this final 20 laps, you're about to see 7 drivers on top of each other. We want to say thank you to TrophySmack.com. TrophySmack's been a major sponsor, again, with GTR simulators for a very long time. If you want to go get yourself a championship trophy to support yourself, to show off your glory or your low moments, they've got championship belts, rings, trophies, as well as their WallSmack product. WallSmack is a metal high-gloss art piece that you get to choose what image is on there. For some drivers, they've been able to go get their race-winning moments on a WallSmack. Some just like to put their own logo on it, and you can go find yourself getting a WallSmack at TrophySmack.com. And remember, when purchasing, to use the promo code WSSR Smack for 10% off from TrophySmack.com. We also want to say thank you to our white flag sponsor, that is Sim Precision Prints. If you're looking for 3D printed sim gear or just one-of-a-kind pieces built with passion and precision, head on over to simprecisionprints.shop and check out how you can get your own 3D printed product from them. Remember, also when purchasing, remember to use the promo code WSSR at checkout for 10% off on all purchases $50 or more. Well, it didn't take long for Thomas Green and Jarrett Talmadge to be caught with all their battling and bickering back and forth. The driver who pitted 2 laps after them, Gavin Rogers, has passed Thomas Green. Brian McCann is hot behind him. Same for Ryan Kelly. Jake Nichols is still a second back, but joining Nichols is John Forbes. 7 drivers, 18 laps. Richard, I got a feeling this is going to be a pack racing finish when we get to the end of this thing, because everyone's slowly starting to close in closer and closer.
Yeah, they definitely are starting to close in on each other, and Thomas Green, he's starting to falter back, but this could be by design. He could be letting these tires cool off a little bit, get some life back in them before he can start defending and move his way back forward, or he could just be playing the blockade that stops the rest of the people from coming. But, again, we'll have to see later in this run for the 31 machine, but Gavin, he has got a hefty lead over the number 8 machine. His sights are set on Jarrett Talmadge for this lead.
It's Gavin Rogers, the birthday boy, trying to find a way to get into the lead. Jarrett Talmadge, who came away second last week, second by 7/1000ths of a second to Ryan Kelly. A pass that he thought would have given him a win and could have been the points lead heading into tonight. Not the case for the 27 machine, but what a start to the chase for himself. But the drivers that they're all worried about, Jake Nichols back in 6th position, still 3.2 seconds back. Has the 73 maybe shown too many of his cards that people have now found the tricks, found the trade, and is trying to drive away at this moment in time, as Ryan Kelly now going to be up to 3rd, trying to pull along Brian McCann, the teammates from Cody Glencox's Music Racing team. They are trying their best to run down Lucky Duck Motorsports. Jared Talmadge, Gavin Rogers, we see in the chat, they've already said it. There's no team orders. It's all about the win and who wants it the most.
I love the no team orders between all the drivers of Lucky Ducks. Go run your race. I mean, if you want to work together, you can work together, but these guys, they are out and throwing haymakers when they can to try to get around each other. But Gavin Rogers, he is running 0.3 of a second faster than Jarrett Talmadge. Ryan Kelly running about 0.07 of a second faster than Gavin. Brian McCann running a little slower than that, but Jake Nichols, one of the faster cars on track, along with John Forbes back in 7th. Those two are still trying to make their way up through the field as well.
They're trying their best, and Forbes and Nichols are now starting to battle back and forth between each other in 6th place. They are not working together, and Nichols, who I thought in the last 5 laps would have turned on the afterburners, would have thought about trying to close in this gap. He has done so, but it's not as quickly or as rapid as we would hope. He still lingers back in 7th place, 3.3 seconds back from the leader. This is not what you want at all. It's gonna be down to our top 4. Is it Rogers, who's been one of the fastest drivers lap in and lap out? Or will it be Ryan Kelly trying to win back to start the chase off on the right foot? Because the 3 is closing in quickly as John Forbes. How do you get by Thomas Green? Green stays high. John Forbes stays low. Nichols most likely will follow the 7 as they continue to race on, but we got to go back up to the lead because Talmadge has been caught. The birthday boy who felt the most confidence he's felt all season is here. And Richard, the one that all 3 of us in the booth picked, he's ripe for a chance for victory as he's right on the back bumper of Talmadge.
Gavin is looking for his first win this season. He has fought through the struggles of learning the new Gen 4 car, then the switch to the legacy Gen 4 car, the struggles of learning that, the struggles of fighting against a strong driver like Jake Nichols. Gavin has struggled to get into the top 5 this season, but is now in prime position to take the lead. And there's the move down to the inside to try to make the pass. He's got to clear him off the exit, though, as they're side by side through 3 and 4.
Trying to get into victory lane for Gavin Rogers. I mean, he is one of 2 drivers that made it into the playoffs yet to get a top 5. That's Gavin Rogers and Chuck Sweeting. Both of them have yet to find themselves finishing the top 5. Rogers is last season's champion and is yet to do so. But now, picking the chance, going for the inside, the 1, the dive bomb, the slot job move. Rogers to the lead for one of the first times I feel like all season. Rogers looks strong, but you gotta be careful. The driver in 3rd, it's the number 3 of Ryan Kelly. He has been the fastest driver on track for the last 3 laps, and he's now within striking distance.
Ryan Kelly is burning up those tires, trying to catch up to these guys. He's got to get around Jarrett Talmadge, but the question is, how easy is Jarrett Talmadge going to roll over and let this happen, or is he going to try to defend as long as he can for Gavin Rogers? Is he going to help the birthday boy get his win of the season? But Ryan Kelly going to look low. Jarrett Talmadge sticking to his guns on the outside line there as they get side by side on the exit. Ryan Kelly, a great run off the exit, though, but they're still going to be side by side down the backstretch as Gavin's trying to give his teammates some drafting help.
I mean, Ryan Kelly crushed the dreams of Lucky Duck driver of Thomas Green last week. And now this week, could he crush another dream? Gavin Rogers, Ryan Kelly, will their duel be able to slow down their momentum enough to maybe give a different driver a chance? Talmadge, with having so much older tires, he really isn't going to be a threat. He just gets to watch the show. Might be able to defend and hold back the momentum of some other drivers further back behind. But looking at the lap times, Kelly once again the faster of our top 2. but he's a little bit less than a half a second back and trying to find a way to close in this gap. But always the looming question here at Auto Club. We've seen it all night long. Did you overcook your tires trying to catch the driver ahead of you?
Yeah, that's the question. How fast or how hard were you pushing that car to try to catch the one machine? Gavin is doing a great job. He is running his race. He's got the clean air. That's all he's got to do. Look out the windshield. Don't worry about what's behind you. If you have to, look at the relative every now and then, but don't worry about that. You've got fresh, clean air in front of you. Let what happens behind you happen and defend when you need to. But Gavin is doing a great job. He was faster than Ryan Kelly that last lap by almost a whole tenth of a second.
Ryan Kelly, who started the season off winning at Daytona, then last week found his way into victory lane again. He's trying to get win number 3 of the season. And if he does get the win, could be the driver leaving Auto Club as the points leader in the chase. Gavin Rogers on the other foot. He is still searching for that first top 5, still looking for his first win this season. And the one, all the stories of all the woes, the problems, I just can't figure out this car, all the nights of wondering, do I even have the pace to get into victory lane in this series anymore? Well, you lead with 8 laps to go. You hit the backstretch. You are pulling away from the 3. Rogers, you just got to be perfect for the final stretch because no one is closing in on the gap so far.
Number 1 machine is doing everything he can. He's got a phenomenal line. This is not a line that we've seen a lot of drivers run pretty much all night, and he is showing how to do it. Gets a little loose there on the exit of 4. That just shows you how fast he's trying to drive this car and keep it under his control. Still faster than Ryan Kelly that lap as well. He is just putting down faster and faster laps, doing what he can to keep this car in the lead.
Last time that we saw this one machine in victory lane, it was during the playoffs of last season, September 17th. Could he finally get the win? It's been a long time going for this one, but each lap it gets tougher and tougher. The more you have to counter steer, the more that you're trying to hold on. I'm looking at the competitors. It's just Ryan Kelly at this moment. He's your only driver you have to worry about. Talmadge is fading. John Forbes has been trying to close in the gap, but he's starting to plateau. And Jake Nichols, who was supposed to be the biggest threat, he's fallen to 6th and is not closed in. He's lost over 2 seconds since the last time we checked in on that 73 machine.
And Jake Nichols is actually one of the slower cars in this top 6 as well, him and Brian McCann. It's unnatural to see for Jake Nichols. This is not what we expected to see. But Gavin Rogers just putting on a clinic, still leading ahead of Ryan Kelly, 5 spots up from where he qualified in the 6th position. This is what Gavin has been looking for all season. A track he loves, a track he won at. He wants to get that feeling back again.
He would love to get that feeling once again. I mean, this is the track that Gavin Rogers found himself getting into victory lane. He's won here at Auto Club in the past. He's won at Michigan in the past in this series. This is a oval that this is one of the only ovals that you really see Gavin win. And he is certainly putting on a show here tonight. He was learning, watching Jake Nichols after that second pit stop, and he was trying to find a way to get any advantage. He saw that pitting later was the advantage that he was looking for. Ryan Kelly looked for a chance, and after that last lap, during this lap, that 3 starting to creep a little bit closer. He's starting to get in. He's now within 4/10. The dream might not be solidified because Ryan Kelly is now 3/10 away with 4 laps to go.
4 laps to go. Gavin has still got to find some speed. I hope he's saved just a little bit. Maybe he thought he had some time to save a little. Maybe he's pushed too hard. We've got to see. He was 2/10 slower than Ryan Kelly that last lap. Ryan has found a little bit of speed in that car, that number 3 machine. He is doing what he can to ruin another Lucky Ducks phenomenal run at the end of the race.
I mean, the one thing that I'm seeing that's kind of odd so far in this, we have seen all night long, the drivers have been ripping the top late in the runs. They have been using that every single stint so far, but the last 10 laps, Rogers, Kelly, they've been staying low. Another 10th cut away. Kelly is there with 3 laps to go.
3 to go. Kelly in striking position, almost 2/10 behind Rogers. Rogers has got to he's got to play defensive now once Kelly catches up. This is when you got to pay attention to your rear view mirror. Got to figure out what Ryan's been doing. Figure out where he might attack and see what you can do to defend against it. He looks like Ryan Kelly's going to be a little higher than he has been all run so far. He's going to try to do a later apex, try to get a little bit more of a momentum shift. He's got the run. He might get to the bumper of Gavin this lap.
I mean, you got to be careful of your Gavin Rogers. I mean, Ryan Kelly has just been beating you off the exit of turn 4 every single lap. You got to change something up here because you're losing all of the ground that you just had. It's less than a 10th. 2 to go for Gavin Rogers, Ryan Kelly. We still wait. If a caution happens this lap, we'll head into overtime, or will it just be the duel? Gavin Rogers, Ryan Kelly. Kelly's hoping to sweep so far the first 2 races of the chase. Rogers is hoping to get his first win of season 12. And as they exit out of turn number 4, Kelly has been faster. He stays low. He's trying to build the momentum. Rogers goes with the outside lane, hoping it builds up enough momentum, and it will be a better run for the one machine. As they look up to the flag stand, it's your Sim Precision Prince. White flag out in the air. It's Rogers. It's Kelly. Let the duel begin. Here we go, Richard, down into turn number 1.
Turn 1 and 2, the first of 4 to go. Gavin Rogers still in the lead. He's doing what he needs to do, staying on the outside. He's going to have the momentum. He's kind of giving a little bit of an arrow block towards Ryan Kelly also. He breaks the draft down the backstretch, not giving Ryan any more speed as they dive into turn 3. Gavin staying high, but Ryan Kelly to the inside.
Dive bomb move by the 3 machine, but the 1 of Rogers, he's got the run, he's got the line, the 3 drifts it out, and Gavin Rogers from heartbreak, disappointment, break the curse, they're into victory lane. Rogers wins at Auto Club.
Gavin Rogers back on top in winning form. The number 1 machine, a clinic at the end of that race, and his signature drift through the turn. We love to see anytime Gavin Rogers wins a race, he will drift his car through the next turn. Phenomenal win to celebrate his 21st birthday. Gavin Rogers, the birthday boy, the winner at Auto Club.
He broke the championship curse. He broke the curse of every single time that all 3 of us up in the booth pick a driver that usually have mistakes happen. And Gavin Rogers, through all the adversity, everything he's gone through, he is back into victory lane. Happy birthday to Gavin Rogers. This is going to be one that all of Sundance is going to be loving. This is one that Gavin's going to adore. He is back in the win column. He finally breaks that top 5 curse. And Gavin, he's going to enjoy this one. I know for Ryan Kelly, this is a big finish for himself. Same for Jared Talmadge. Those 3 drivers, they know this is a big gain on Jake Nichols, who flounders outside of the top 5 here tonight. Oh boy, next week's going to be a fun one that you don't want to miss. But for us up in the booth, Gavin's enjoying his time. We will step away. When we come back, it's the post-race show. We talk to the birthday boy. We talk to Ryan Kelly and Jared Talmadge. How was their night? Let's find out. We'll be back right after this. We'll see you in a few. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show for the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs. Season 12, Chase Race 2 out of 6 is completed, and it's a fan favorite that gets it done at the end of the day. Season 11 champion finally gets the monkey off his back. No longer has a 0 next to that top 5 window. Instead, put a 1 there, and let's put a 1 right next to the win column as well. Gavin Rogers is back into victory lane. Gavin, first and foremost, happy birthday. But man, how are you feeling after that one here tonight?
Sam, dude, I'm freaking stoked. I feel so blessed to be able to race for a team like this, and still have an opportunity to race for wins. Barely felt like I wasn't going to be able to pull one off this season, but it's funny because I was talking to Richard before the race started. I said this is the closest that this is like the closest I felt to driving a next gen since we left the next gen last season, and somehow I pull it off, which is kind of funny on my birthday too. This track has definitely been a really good track for me. I didn't think I was going to be that fast. I just knew if I got some clean air, I would have been pretty well set. The guys were complaining about the clean air. I think they felt a little bit more comfortable in the dirty air. I just couldn't make moves when I was behind cars. I would get really tight on entry. I think it was just my driving style. Once I got clean air, I felt like I could drive a little bit better. I know Kelly was stupid fast at the end there. I was stressing that whole last run. I didn't really realize he was catching us until I was just about to pass Jarrett. I'm like, dang, dude, he's right there. But yeah, man, luckily we were able to pull it off, and so glad I was able to get that monkey off my back for sure.
Yeah, Gavin, happy birthday. Finally get your car back into victory lane here in season 12. I mean, that's got to be such a great feeling. And how big of a boost is that for you and the championship run for the last 4 races?
Yeah, it's I don't know how it is necessarily as a boost for the championship run, but just personally, I think it'll boost me. Definitely build that confidence up again, and try to just keep myself up there and run for wins. I feel like qualifying has been my biggest issue. The tires is definitely another pretty big issue, if not probably a little bit bigger than the qualifying for me. Luckily tonight, it just seemed like the tires kind of just evened out after a certain point. Which is where I think that's when Kelly kind of got to me, and then he kind of started to stall out once he got right behind me. And then I made a mistake, and then he caught me again. He got right on my bumper, so I had to do something. So I moved up to the top. I felt really good. I kind of forgot to move up to the top at the end of that run because how good I felt on the bottom. But once I moved up top, I was able to kind of gain a little bit more time back and just barely hold them off. But yeah, man, this is definitely a good a boost of confidence.
Well, Gavin, I know we might have put a little bit of extra pressure on you, and we were hoping we weren't cursing you. All 3 of us picked you as our driver to watch out for tonight, and you get into victory lane. I mean, what was it like? Like you said, it was tough to make passes when you were behind people, but we saw you behind Jake Nichols, following what he was doing. At what point did it decide to, I need to change things up from what that 73 is doing to put you in this point to win?
Yeah, man, I was just kind of running my own race, a majority of it just kind of following Jake for a lot of the run. Even Brian, I was following him for a little bit, but I was just kind of running a steady pace, just waiting for the guys to start getting a little bit more racy. And I was kind of able to take advantage of that in that second to last run. I think I believe it was Jake and Brian going at it for the lead, and I was able to take a 3-wide move to the bottom, which felt pretty sweet. It was actually the same move I saw my guy Logano do at Auto Club in person in the last race they had out here, which was pretty neat. But yeah, man, I was just running my own race and just kind of wanted to get that clean air, and I felt like if I got that, I would have been pretty well set.
Well, Gavin, I gotta say, it's awesome to see you back into victory lane. It was a fun call of just seeing all the drama throughout tonight. But before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout out.
Yeah, first and foremost, just want to give all glory to God. He's been a huge part of my life for sure. Also want to give a huge shout out to John Peel and the Lucky Ducks Motorsports team. They've definitely been a help for me, kind of keeping me up, just having guys to talk to. I feel like if I was in here alone, I'd be going through quite a bit personally. I know Richard and a lot of other guys kind of know that once it gets quiet, I kind of get in my head a little bit. So having guys to talk to helps for sure. Just want to thank all the sponsors, Aftermarket Coffee, the Wounded Warrior Project, No Kids Hungry, I believe it's what is it? Stand Up to Cancer. He's definitely John's got a lot of good people running behind him, and I'm just very happy to be running for a team like that. And I also want to give a shout out to all my family and friends watching, all my fellow racers, all my teammates. I know we had a pretty good run tonight, and I also want to shout out you guys for doing a great broadcast as always.
Well, thank you for giving us one of the better shows of the season here tonight. Congratulations on the win, Gavin. Enjoy this one, and good luck next week at Texas.
All right, appreciate it, guys.
As that will be your winner here tonight from Auto Club of Gavin Rogers. We also want to say thank you to Lucky Duck Motorsports for another super chat of $5, saying congrats to Gavin Rogers. I know Gavin is excited to talk to all of the team from Lucky Ducks, but we first got to go up and talk to second place finisher Ryan Kelly, who made the last threat, the last chance to try to go for victory lane 2 races in a row. Not going to be the case, but Ryan, what a run for yourself. Coming away second here tonight. You really were putting the pressure on that one machine late, but how are you feeling coming away second here tonight?
Yeah, I'm happy for sure. P2 tonight after getting the strategy a little wrong there in the first stage and trying to save gas, but we definitely we're not going to make it. So had to kind of plan the rest of the race from there, and really happy to get back to second. And yeah, close to 2 in a row there, but just a little short.
Yeah, Ryan, still a very impressive run for yourself. I mean, still a second place with Jake Nichols. Again, Jake Nichols in the field is always going to be, a threat for taking the win away. But able to top him again, I mean, this really helps your chances in closing in on that lead for the point standing. How is that going to play for the next 4 races in your mind?
Yeah, it definitely gives a little bit of confidence to get 2 over him in the first 2. We know he's definitely the guy to beat in this league, so definitely watching him and yeah, looking at him during the race, and was kind of trying to plan my strategy around where those guys were running. So yeah, thinking about the points. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it. We got Texas, Charlotte, and North Wilkesboro, the next 3 on the docket. What are you feeling about these next 2 being still going to be mile and a half in front of us?
Yeah, the mile and a half, so I'm definitely more confident than the short tracks. And yeah, with this car, I think it suits me a little bit more than the older car we were running in the beginning of the season. So confidence is definitely here for the playoffs, and excited for the rest of the races for sure.
Yeah, we're excited to see how you perform, Ryan, for yourself. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout out.
Yeah, well, the drivers for an awesome race. You guys for putting on the show, my teammates tonight, and I had some family watching, so shout out to them. And looking forward to next week.
We're excited for it, as that will be Ryan Kelly here tonight. And Ryan, right before you leave, points have just been updated. You are 3rd in points, but you're 1 point back from Jarrett Talmadge and Jake Nichols that are tied for the lead. So we know these upcoming races, they're going to be fun ones to watch. Congratulations on second, and good luck in these upcoming races.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
As that will be the 3 machine of Ryan Kelly, really putting the threat on Gavin Rogers there late. But a driver where I'm curious on where he would have been if the early struggles didn't kind of cost him big at the end. We have got Jarrett Talmadge with us. And Jarrett, you didn't qualify well. And what a recovery for yourself, top to bottom tonight. You started 16th. You're our biggest mover of the night. You got slid, tap spun, but kept it moving straight from Ollie earlier in the race. And yet you still come away 3rd. In that one moment, looked like a threat to win this race. How are you feeling after a fantastic performance tonight?
Pretty pumped, honestly. I had a brain fart coming out of foreign qualifying, and I wasn't where I was at on my Delta. And so I stopped thinking I had enough time to do a second lap, and I didn't. So I put myself on the back foot early. And then I tried to save tires just because, I was already in the back and was just hoping that if I could save them, the guys would just come to me. And they were starting new, and then, like you said, I got tapped from Ollie, and it just, that little slide just shifted my tires completely gone. And I guess from there on out, I was just I was on the foot I didn't want to be on. I was always undercutting just to get the track position, and it worked out the second to last run. And I thought it was going to be the same thing that last run, but I left my brake bias at +3 from when I entered pit road, and I just cooked my right front. I didn't realize it was at that till 2 to go. So I'd like to say there might have been a chance for me to win it if I didn't do that, but to come away with top 3 starting from last with no cautions is a pretty good night.
Yeah, Jared, impressive run coming up 13 positions from where you started. You were the biggest mover of the race as well with that. I mean, you did a good job. Your pit roads just seemed flawless. The way you used strategy on pitting early to get the advantage there. When it came to tires, like what was the idea with either pitting laps earlier or a lap later than the other drivers?
I mean, in a perfect world, I would have loved to have been in Gavin's and Kelly's position to pit later for sure, because it definitely seemed, especially if you were good at keeping the tires on, it was definitely the way to go. You caught so quickly, even only having that one lap advantage, and then you still had the advantage. But like I said, I kind of didn't have that, so just pitting early wasn't really that bad, honestly, because I feel like I kept my tires on pretty good. So by the time they caught, we started to even out. And then, yeah, like I said, I think just having the brake bias a little too high there overheated my right front. I just was struggling center. So, honestly, it's just either or, whether you want to pit early or late. I mean, you'll see people with advantage. Like, I think Tom pitted really early there on the final run and fell all the way back. Kelly and Gavin pitted late. I think John did, and they all ended up at the front at the end. So, I definitely think pitting late's the advantage, though.
Well, you were started out fourth in points, Jarrett, to start the chase off. And after tonight's run, you are now tied for the lead in the chase. How does that make you feel? And how does it feel heading into 1.5 mile races at Texas and Charlotte being our next two on the docket?
I mean, that's great. I think I'm the only one in the top 5 in points without a win still, so not great on that account. But, I mean, I feel like I run pretty good at 1.5 miles this season, and I feel like I should have a win or two at some of them. So, I mean, a couple good tracks for me coming up. So, I mean, hopefully we can get a win. But, I mean, honestly, even if we don't, if we just keep stacking results and capitalizing on those mistakes, that's how you win titles. So, I'm really okay finishing second if it means I'm going to win the title.
Hey, it's always a good run if you're able to finish in the top 3. Jarrett, congratulations on an incredible run for yourself here tonight. Again, the biggest mover of the evening. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout-outs.
Like, shout out you guys put on the broadcast, all the admins who run the league. Shout out to my teammates. Congrats to Gavin on getting the win there. Glad one of us could get it. And we got Stand Up to Cancer on the hood again, so shout out to that organization.
Well, that will be your third place finisher here tonight in the 27 of Jared Talmadge. Jar, enjoy this one, and good luck next week at Texas.
Thank you.
As we move on from our interviews, we get ready for the unofficial results here tonight. As taking the win, first time this season, getting the monkey off his back and finally getting the top 5 on top of that, it's Gavin Rogers in the one machine. Second, we find the 3 of Ryan Kelly. Third will be Jared Talmadge. Fourth, it was John Forbes, who also had a really good recovery run for himself. He was struggling at times, got on the wall a couple of moments, and he'll come away fourth. Brian McCann, who at a time, I feel like early in the race, was a threat to beat Jake Nichols and be that driver to try to get into victory lane. Not going to be the case here tonight. He'll take 5th. Jake Nichols falls to 6th. Another not a great finish for himself compared to what we've seen for most of the season. The chase has not been very friendly to Jake Nichols, but luckily still is tied with the points lead after tonight. Vincent Sora, probably with, if it wasn't Jared Talmadge on recovery run of the night, would probably go to the 15 after missing pit road. Exits 7th here this evening. Thomas Green will take 8th, Cedric Hunter 9th, and finishing out our top 10, it's Ollie Fonseca in the 24.
Yeah, and everybody else. Chris Stitt's going to finish out 11th. Douglas Newbigging, the driver who was trying his best to do the fuel save and have one less pit stop than everybody. The strategy did not work out to his advantage there. Will finish 14th. And then Zach Hall also was up there with Jarrett Talmadge at one point in time during the race. Had a huge misstep coming in for a pit stop. Spun it around, got a black flag, and he pretty much called it a night after that, finishing the race 57 laps down. So Brian Noel had some damage as well. He called it a night, 65 laps down for himself. But I mean, just phenomenal racing throughout the entire field, keeping it clean and green from start to finish, and drivers you were not expecting to see take the reins away from Jake Nichols and lead this race for the top 5, keeping him at bay and cutting into his points lead in this chase.
I mean, when I looked at the schedule, I knew the chase was going to be, a bunch of driver favorite tracks we were going to. I wasn't expecting that it was going to give us the finishes that we've had so far, because the first half of this season was kind of just watch Jake Nichols dominate. The first 2 races of the chase, it has been finishes less than a second, less than 100th was last week. And Ryan Kelly tried a dive bomb move that just didn't work out here tonight, and Gavin Rogers takes the victory. Richard, I gotta say, we got 4 races left this season, and I'm excited for what we got next week. We are heading to the 2009 configuration of Texas. Oh, it's gonna be a good one next week. You don't want to miss.
Yeah, Texas is a very exciting track. It could be a very, very loose track as well. So, I mean, the torque behind these Legacy Gen 4 cars, they're going to have a wild time. A lot of counter steer as well for these guys at that track. So we'll have to see what these guys can do in the Lone Star State when the heat is on and the chase is getting close.
It is going to be a close one. Top 5 in points are all within 8 points of one another. Gavin Rogers, after tonight's run, is the biggest mover in points. He is now up to 6, but he's 15 points back, meaning he's going to need this performance and maybe a couple of more missteps from his competition to get back into this fight. But this is a great first step for last season's champion to try to go back to back. But for tonight, it was a pleasure. We're so thrilled to have everyone that joined with us and was here throughout the whole entire broadcast. Thank you so much for tagging along on your Wednesday evening. For us here, Freaky Fast Broadcasting, though, for myself, Sam Dyer, for Richard Wolsifer, and as well for our producer, Robert Moyer Jr., thank you so much for joining with us. So thank you to Lucky Duck Motorsports for all the super chats. All that money helps us and supports us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. And we also want to say thank you to the drivers that keep on competing and have been giving us a thriller these last couple of weeks. We're excited to see how season 12 comes to a conclusion. 4 races are left. Tonight, Rogers got the win. Who can maybe find themselves in the victory lane next week at Texas? We'll have to find out next week on our next Freaky Fast broadcast.
I was standing, staying still, never said what I feel, and every time I took the blame, carried all this quiet shame. Cause all the pressure in my chest, I've gotta fight to catch my breath, when every step still feels the same, trying not to break. Where do I go from here? Maybe I'll disappear. If I don't try, I'll never know. I'm waiting on you. Where do I go from here? There will be no more tears. Kill the doubt, feed the fire, hear the voice inside. Up, it's my turn this time. They took a shot, now I want mine. You fall, I rise, I take the wheel. So this is how it feels.